Greetings, my fellow Equatorian brothers and sisters. With you today, Ethical Odysseus. I'll be here today by myself, going to speak some points here. If you see the title, as it says there, just going to give me a minute and I'll be back with you, please, if you don't mind. Share if you can, would be great. And I thank our fellow brothers and sisters of the great Equatoria and those who also, non-Equatorians, will also say thank you for joining us. Even though we agree to disagree, let's always keep it that way. So hopefully you guys will be with us soon. I'll just after the music, I'll continue with you.
Geo E Records.
Oh na 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 na. Oh na 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 yeah. Banana kala. Na 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 na. Anina wahi. Anina sawa. Oh yeah. Anina Equatorian. Nasawa. Anina Equatorian. Beled wahid, anena Equatorian. Anena Equatorian. Oh yeah, kanita miniambio, kanita mintori, weleta min juba, yeah. Anena Equatorian. Teresia samagesi manena. Yeah. We strong, we stand together. Yeah. Kanihna gulu wahi, Equatoria biraba. Yabirwa pijama, asan belet na biraba. So give us pen and give us guns. Oh yeah. Give us ipanagule. Oh yeah. Anina Equatoria. Nasawa, anina Equatoria. Beled wahid, anina Equatorian. Anena Equatorian. Oh yeah. Kanita zande, kanita mai. Au kukuye, anena Equatorian. Kelene na hibo nefusina. Kebili ya kede maferiganina. Salam wa sakhava behaja derino hasan belet na biraba arif ma bisaido. So give us pen and give us guns. Oh yeah. Give us ipanagule. Oh yeah. Anina Equatorian. Nasawa anina Equatorian. Beled wahid, anena Equatorian. Anena Equatorian.
Nina kulu sawa jama. Show my help Ngala. I love my people and I'm the voice.
Ajoli ya buga ya baka. Equatoria balanda bari. Kakuwa kiliko Lambo lumoya.
Ajoli
Posa mundo. Nyambara morobe made. Mundare.
Nyambara.
Otumo pare makojudo. Lubara buga ya lobe. Lolo
Posa mundo.
Nare.
Anina kulu nasi sawa. Mavi hata bigesi manena. Siasa mabigesi manena. Anina wahi.
Greetings to all of you guys, my brothers and sisters. It's been a great privilege to come back again to our fellow brother Equatorians and sisters, family of Equatoria. First of all, I want to say this is today, Sunday, July 11th. Sorry to come late. I was supposed to come earlier, but it's no problem. But first, I wanted to give my greetings to you all. Greeting to all our beloved friends and members, audiences, and especially our gracious greater Equatorian family, and not to forget also our confused and troubled foes who can't fathom great Equatoria call for sovereignty. As usual, all in all, our country that we are desiring as Equatorian, it shall be. Of course, some people think it's a dream, but it's not, because this is something that's going to take process, but all of Equatoria need to understand that this is our call. It's our time for us to decide for ourselves what kind of life we want, what kind of nation we want to be in. I know some of our foes or those who don't agree with us, but disagree with us, they refuse this idea, and it seems this idea is dangerous, and if not even, they see it kind of like ridiculous to them at this moment because they feel like they have the power. But every day they continued messing up the country that is called South Sudan. It shows that we have a good advantage for us to be a nation. And at this moment, of course, we have a lot of enemies today because what we speak is unpopular by some of those who wanted to play devil advocates or play, a neutral side. But we're not afraid on that. We will not fear because this is nothing for us to fear. It's something that we have the right. And as you see the title, even to read it to you here, if you don't mind, just give me a second just to make sure that the title is well known. As you know, the title today is Great Equatoria has a choice to separate either to live in Utopia or dystopia. And it's today, July 11, of course. Great Equatoria has a legitimate choice to separate. Great Equatorian, either we choose to live in Utopia or dystopia. And this divine choice of liberty falls in the hands of the masses, not elites. But the masses of Great Equatoria must be serious also and vigilant to make their history right. Because in any mistake, be careful. If we make any mistake, we will lose big time. And this is why we have to be very vigilant when we're doing what we're saying and what we believe in. Because in our path to freedom and liberty, we shall face, and let's be clear and honest with ourselves, we shall face obstacles, challenges, obstacles from even within and outside. The enemies who would love to see us kind of get into a hindrance where we can't go forward. But in all these matters, we're still going to continue fighting these obstacles and the challenge that we will face in our path because of course, this won't make us to concede because we are never going to concede or capitulate for something called to compromise for the sake of these tyrants and this tribalistic mindset that is ruling us today. Because this is our God-given right for us to seek liberty, peace, security, and the pursuit of happiness. Remember, this is our legitimate God-given right to seek liberty, peace, security, and the pursuit of happiness. Every nation that came on this earth, when they decided to be a nation, they believed in their own homeland. They believed in their country. They did not fear, they did not fear what the challenges will be. And I can give you an example, the land of Israel. The Israelis, when the world looked at them, they had no hope. They said, you've been here in Europe for almost thousands of years since, because of Hadrian, the Emperor Hadrian of Rome, who destroyed Jerusalem. So they felt like they have no any reason for them to go back, even after Hitler killed them. And they were more even mistreated badly in Europe. The Jews decided, like, let's stand up for our people. And they start talking, advocating for the land of Israel. They began to speak for it without fear. And they did manage to win, at the end, because those people who ignored it, when they saw the suffering of their people at the end during that World War II, that's when they begin to decide, hey, man, those guys who was talking about this land of Israel, now they were right. There were some few people who really believed in it and went and started building. They built the infrastructure to Israel. They start farming, and that they used to call them kibbutz. And there's people of Haganah and all those other people in Israel. And today they are the most powerful nation in the Middle East because they have believed in what their brothers and sisters who spoke about it, that we have to go back to our land because our roots come from the land. We cannot leave. We cannot call ourselves a nation. We cannot call ourselves Equatorians when we don't have our land. And to have our land is everything. Today, we are marginalized by this regime, by this tribal regime, calling us that we are not the native of the land, even calling us we are foreigners. And when we talked about we are from there, they began to act like we are just a joke. And they dominate the power of government to show us that they are the one who are going to decide how Equatoria will be. And then not above that too, they decided also to choose weaklings among us to be the one who will try to destroy us and silence us or hinder us from rising up to our potential as greater Equatorians. But all in all, these things are not going to stop us. Like I said, we will not concede for what we believe in because we gave them many chances. We tried to dialogue with them. We tried to be nice to them. We tried to speak to them as brothers. Even came to the point of saying, let's go for federalism. People even joined them in the movements that they used to call SPLM. They went with them in the ditch where those foxhole. They fought beside each other against the Arab remnants of Khartoum. What happened? They betrayed us. Those elements who betrayed the Equatorians today are the one who are ruling us. They betrayed even the Nubians when they were together in the same foxhole. And they promised the Nubian they will call themselves, we are the new Sudan. Where is this new Sudan today? Because they know they have an agenda. This SPLM was created by a very dangerous person, which one was now who's now no longer here in this earth, John Garang, who actually planned with his other mentors like Abel Aliar to make sure that there is some people in South Sudan must be taken care of. And one of them was this region of Equatoria and those non-Dinkas who are there. And this is the reality. This is not hate, where some others will think this is hate when we talk about this reality. Because until now, the tribes of Dinka, if you are in Upper Nile or in Bahr al Ghazal, they reject to be honest with themselves. Instead, they want to kind of play emotional game by saying we are all suffering. What kind of suffering will make the others to submit? Equatorians, at least, they have stood in sides, even in the wrong side. When they joined the IO, because they saw that there was a violent against the Nuer, and there was violence against them too. When it comes to us, when our people are getting murdered, we Equatorian, and I've seen this, we actually are okay with it. And that's why you see how many people now today in Equatoria, Greater Equatoria, have been chased away. People are killed, displaced, and yet we see some people want to talk nationalism. They want to talk about let's fight for South Sudan when you're supposed to protect and fight for your land first. Your land is who you are, what identify you. The Israelis didn't fight for other tribes in the Middle East. They focused on themselves, And they remember the time when Israel became a nation. The British were the one who colonized them. They controlled that land. The British fought the Israelis fought the British and fought the Palestinians. They didn't say let's sit down there and ally ourselves with the Arab Palestinians, and then we can take the land of Israel, and then we can talk, we can deal with it later. We deal with the Palestinians. They didn't do that because they know that's a risk that they would not take, and that risk can cause a lot of generational suffering and heartache. So they decided it's better for us to stand up, fight now, take whatever it takes. Either we lose or either we gain. Because in battlefield, there is nothing called I'm going to come out of there, running away unscathed. Either you fight to the death, you kill the enemy, or the enemy will take you out. And that's even from these revolutionaries. If you look at the real revolutionaries of that era, in the time of the 20th century, they spoke, they fought, and they wrote it, and they lived it. So why are we today? We have some people calling themselves revolutionaries, and yet they like to sit in a table and wait for the signature. Great Equatorians, we need to be very careful. That's why I say we have a lot of obstacles. The obstacles that we face is not only the obstacle that some people try to make us look like it's only just the SPLM and Salva Kiir. The real obstacle is beyond that. The real obstacle is a hidden conspiracy behind our people. And yet some people who despise what we say, and they confusing some of our masses of Equatoria by saying that Equatoria they don't understand themselves. This is not the problem of we have to wait and look for the other leaders, and we have to praise our leaders. We don't have to praise anyone. The only one you need to praise is your God, your living God. If you're a Muslim or Christian or Jewish or whoever you are in those religions that we have in our land, you practice those religions and make sure that you focus on your land. But if your religion is not going to support your freedom, then that's not a religion that you need to worship. You need to find something else. But I'm talking about even the political side. If that political, voices, or that political leadership, or that political system that you're following, or the political party that you follow, if they're trying to tell you to follow them just because they are known leaders, they are known to be people of somehow they've been there, they've been done that, I've been with this. People are trying to bring resume to their political power while the people are here down there suffering, dying, being marginalized. Our people in Equatoria have nobody to speak for them. And yet we see some people now trying to capitalize on what we're speaking every day and try to manipulate and take opportunity on it. But we see they're wrong. And I'll tell you this, if we don't agree or support, you don't expect us to be with you. Because if you wanted to know what we stand for the land of Equatoria, we stand for the people of Equatoria, we stand for the freedom and liberty of Equatoria. We're not standing for nonsense that says compromise. We're not standing for the politics of let's come together and create a constitutional or create a government if it's foreign land or is that because even Equatoria to create a system in the outside is not going to be easy and it's not acceptable because Israel, when they built their nation, they didn't build it in the foreign land. They built in their land. They were refused to even go to the land of Israel, but they did stood and fought hard to get their land. So what I want to say to our people of the greater Equatoria that this is our time. Let's make this history. Let's not wait for others to come and make our history. And let's not wait and let our destiny be governed by those who are trying to take opportunity of our suffering just to promote themselves or try to figure out, how they can get into the power that they always, covet or desire from their heart. Let us see the people who really stand and who give me the power because you want somebody who will empower you. People will empower you in the right way, not seduce you in the wrong way by telling you that we're gonna promise you we're gonna do this and this. No, this is not the way we want. Because SPLA did the same thing. Remember in 2005 what they did. They promised us heaven and earth. They promised us oil. They promised us we're gonna be rich. They promised that we're gonna be free, first class citizen. Where was it? Nothing happened. So my brothers and sisters, all I say is that we have to be very vigilant. Great Equatoria, our liberty is not going to be easy, but we're going to make it. And it's not easy because there is some elements within our Equatorian and outside Equatoria, those who are conspiring so hard to make us fail. They want us to be weak in our statement. They want us to be weak in the land of Israel, the land of Equatoria, that we can never be able to achieve what our ancestors, even our generation want. We want our dignity. This is the reason why we Great Equatorian are looking for dignity that we can be proud of. We are not better than anyone in Upper Nile or Bahr al-Ghazal, but we want our dignity to be given, to be recognized and acknowledged, and we want to see the world also. We deal with the world as brothers and sisters, not as only people we want to take advantage of or people want to take advantage of us. We want to be equal as God created us equal. So my Great Equatorians, and one thing also I want to remind you here, so just to focus on my point here about South Sudan economic situation. Today, if you look at the economy, and I'll read you something here from this SPLM regime, what they have committed. It says South Sudan, this is what Troika said, and this is kind of like ironic too, that because it's an irony. I mean, Troika is talking here as if South Sudan is really in peace. There is no conflict. The people of Equatoria are really living in harmony. They are settled down. How many people in refugee camps right now outside our land? How many people are under the tree? And yet we see some people are confusing us. That's why I want Equatoria brothers and sisters, be vigilant, because even today, even some people who are outside who claiming to be opposition are also trying to manipulate us, trying to play the mind game by using our emotion, moving our emotion so we can stand by them, so we can believe that they're doing the same thing and we are all one. We are not one unless they admit they're wrong and they come humbly, not arrogant, not bragging about themselves, not showing that they are better than others, not telling that they have done this and been there, because we know their history. We know who they are, but they can never come and talk to us in true honesty because they want to just use our emotion, move our emotion so we can fall for their trap. And they will tell us like we just have to follow these leaders and they will get us to the promised land of milk and honey. And it's not going to happen because we have seen how many of these people who promised us milk and honey to go back, but then they are the one who are going to get the milk and honey. They're the one who are going to get the position. You see Riek Machar today, he's settling in that position just to get the crumbs. I wish it was really the honey that he promised Equatoria to get, because he promised us federalism. And this is the funny thing. Don't let no person promise you haja ita deru. You got to get it. If you want something, you have to get it. And to get it, we have to think wisely. We have to come together. We have to throw the arrogance, and we have to accept criticism for the sake of correction, not criticize for the sake of criticism as some others do and some others think others do. Because when we see each other, we sit down and we talk about Equatoria, Some people are afraid to say, no, don't talk about it because if you talk like that, we look bad. No, you have to talk about your home. But let me go back to this uh, article. It's actually in Sudan Tribune. It was published in July 8th, 2021. It says South Sudan should get back to road to on the road to economic and social development, despite the immense suffering caused by the outbreak of civil war. The Troika said that's according to Troika, a statement, and Sudan Tribune have just posted it out there. And a statement issued on the eve of South Sudan's independence, the Troika, Britain, the United States, and Norway said the country has enormous resource that can benefit its citizens. Remember what they're saying right now. After all, South Sudan is rich. It is rich. Do not its riches do not just reside in the oil beneath its land or the lumber in its forest. South Sudan is rich because of the diverse community of people that make up the young country. Partly raised the statement. Troika, however, said many tasks remained unaccomplished nearly 3 years after the signing of the country's peace deal. And Britain and the US and Norway welcome the progress that has so far been made up and urge the signatories to accept accountability for their commitment and move faster. According to the Troika, millions of people do not have enough food to feed themselves or family 10 years after independence. The Troika urged immediate action to ensure access for humanitarian aid and to end the violence against South Sudan and the end of violence in South Sudan and the aid workers also who are serving them. It stressed the statement. The Troika further said that it remains eager to work in close partnership with the transitional government to implement fully the 2018 revitalized peace agreement. We are committed to the standing with the South Sudanese people as they work toward their aspiration of peace and prosperity, further noted the statement. It added, we urge the political leadership of South Sudan to take the action needed to build the country jubilant crowds of 2011 dreamed was possible. South Sudan attained independence, of course. That's what they will finally kind of talk about independence on Sudan from Sudan 2011, July. And however, the East African nation marked its 10th independence anniversary on July 9. Up to 7.2 million of the population remain in the brink of famine, aid agencies warned. Of course, that's always the report they bring to our people. And our people come up and say, yeah, our people are dying from hunger, but we already dying. We already in death, like we're already in the grave. There is nothing else to say our foot close to the grave because, and this is the thing about this thing that bothered me here, is that Troika is talking or is speaking as if this regime is already legitimate from its start. This is what I will criticize Troika here clearly as an Equatorian native son, and I'm not afraid to say it because we speak to the international community for a statement. We say this is what we want. Our land has been occupied. Our people have been murdered. The economy that is now, you call it economy, there's no economy in South Sudan. What is going on is only a couple of thugs and tribal elites or tribal elders, not elite, tribal elders who are manipulating the economy for the interest of building their tribe into becoming the second-class citizen and the first-class citizen in that country. If you look at the first-class citizen, it's those people, I would say maybe 50%, if I'm not 50 or 40%, I won't say more, that they are in the top lead because they have the money. They can do whatever they want. They go outside other countries because they work collaboratively. And then you can go back and look at the middle class of those who call themselves now, they want to compare us, we're suffering together. And I'll tell you where the middle class starts here. Because, in the Western countries, middle class is people who have a job. They can afford to pay for their credit, for their houses, all that. But in South Sudan, the real middle class over there now is the people who own the land. See, that's the tactic of Jing Council and the manipulation of what have been built since the movement started. So they occupied lands of Equatorians today, and they chased most Equatorians out, especially started in Juba. And the saddest thing, I feel sad, and I'll talk about it later, but I have to kind of mention, is that some Equatorians were behind it too, to let these people come up in Juba and do all the corruption and crime against our people. And going back to that point too, there is something about which I'm saying, like the land that now they're holding in Equatoria, it makes them look like the second class because they can actually rent it to anybody, foreigners. Imagine, they don't sell it, they own it, and they're not from Equatoria. and yet they rent it to others. Even like you remember the story of that lady, the old lady who was raped beside the police station. She was renting from a woman from Dinka tribe, and that she don't even own the land. Oh, I mean, she don't even, she's not from the native land of Greater Equatoria. And when we look at Equatorians who actually lived in Upper Nile, they will be mistreated the same as in Bahar Ghazal. They will be mistreated by these local tribes that you cannot, own a land here. You got to go back to your territory. So why then in all this we want to still call ourselves South Sudanese? As Great Equatorians, we need to think carefully. Because if you don't treat me equally, why am I forcing myself to be equal to be with you? They are building a classes among us by owning lands right now in Equatoria, just to make sure that Equatorians will not go far. Equatoria will not be able to go anywhere but just to be renters. We're almost like treated like we're in the north. You remember? In the north, even South Sudanese later began to own homes. But in South Sudan today, the owners of the land begin to rent from the people who are not from the land. And yet they leave their homeland in Upper Nile to come to Equatoria by masses. And this is not hate when we talk about this. This is reality, what we see, what is going on to our people. I know our word is going to be hated by others, but the reality is that our people are the one who are crying, not their people. If their people are crying because they are mistakes, they're the one who killing each other for any small thing. They will fight, shoot each other for a cattle. They will shoot each other for even for a woman, for just taking that woman from the other tribe to grabbing, and that's the way how they do. And then when they got to the regime, they did the same behavior by stealing from cattle. I mean, doing what they do in their tribes over there, robbing from the other tribe by taking more. So they start doing it the same in the government, in the regime, so-called government, because that's a government administration. All of them began to take parts in that regime, and they began to do very sinister things like corruption, financial corruption, bringing illegal, like illegal contract, making contract with some people putting money in their pocket, and there was no progress in the country economically. And guess what? Most of them are coming from the same tribes. Today, the country is in debt. Our South Sudan today is in debt, and this debt, by even this peace agreement that they have done, that the world come out and just push them, yeah, let's go for peace agreement. That's also a trap, and it's a debt for us to join us all South Sudanese. For us, Equatorian, it's our right time and our right chance to exit this, because we have never been part of it. Our land has been taken. Our land has been contracted to some countries that even never been part of this assistance for us to be a nation. So what's going on in this country is a conspiracy very much into the deepest core that you cannot even imagine. So what are we supposed to do as Equatorians? We great Equatorians, it's time for us to really take it serious when we talk about Equatoria must secede from this so-called South Sudan, because there's nothing else we have over there. If we talk about political leaders, we don't have them. If we talk about some people to represent us as politicians or as former politicians or academics, it will be very hard. You will find only maybe 2 or 1. And then when you find some people who will say, yeah, we agree with you, then you see they want to conspire, because they're always looking at power. They're not looking for the interests of the people. They only want to look for power to get there. They're so greedy to the point they will forget that everything they do is going to cost us tomorrow. And the international community over there, they're just playing monopoly with us, using those 2 clowns from those 2 tribes and the other tribe who are sticking around just to figure out where they're going to fit. And some people also using individualism to get in power. Those international community, they know their mistake. They know the wrong. They could have fixed it in 1 day. It's only take 1 day for the international community to make a change. They did that in Iraq. They did that in Afghanistan. They did that in many countries. If the West really want to change it, they would change it in 1 day. But what is going on? Why are they just still continuing with those 2 clowns to mess up and manipulate the future of a lot of people in the country? And yet Equatoria is neglected in every case of these conflict. Equatoria have never been part of this 2 people conflict or to this 2 gentlemen conflict, and yet they kind of put us in it and say it's a civil war. When the start of this conflict was a tribal-based fight. It wasn't based on political interest. The Dinka felt that we are the one who fought. Gereng is our son. He's the founder of SPLM, and we have to go for it. Nuer said, no, hey, man, we're the second largest and we have the powerful military and we have fought also for our, independence of South Sudan. And yet they neglected Haja Ismu Anyanya. They forgot about Anyanya completely, as if Anyanya was never there. They even tried to hide it, the history of Anyanya. The only few Equatorians who lived during that time of Anyanya and those who are now remember the history of Anyanya begin to talk about it. Today, you could see they begin to track back a little bit their tone. Before, during those years in the past, they used to tone their language that we are the one liberated. You could see every name with the people of Upper Nile as if it was the only people who came up with this idea of revolution and independence. And yet you could see even running the country, they're not running it right. Even the idea of revolution, they don't understand it because you cannot kill your brother if you believe in revolution. You cannot massacre a tribe, another tribe, just because you feel like, these people, I don't agree with them because, in the past, like 1992, 1991, or even go back to another century and say the people killed our people, so we have to do that. That shows those kind of mindset is primitive. In Greater Equatoria, we never had this kind of behavior. Today, they're enforcing this division among us by using some weak elements like Waniga and, all those clowns who are known, the usual suspect, playing the tricks to make sure that they will entice others by bribery. Even people begin now to sell their brothers within Juba just to give information. Those things really weaken us. And yet some people in the outside, in the diaspora, want to say, let's go all stay for unity. We are one people. We are not. The only people that we see we are one is Equatoria, because Equatoria are one right now. Even in the misery, in the mess, we never mention our tribe as those others mention their tribes. And then when we talk about Equatoria, some of those enemies of Equatoria within Equatoria, they're trying to divide us by either manipulating, by using what they call this, opportunistic kind of tactics, so they can play a trick and they want to be in the spotlight. But this is not about being in the spotlight. What we're trying to do is saving our people. Our people are the one who are losing everything. Every day, as we speak, as I speak, or even if we don't speak here, every day, just you wake up in the morning, remember there is an inch of Equatoria land is been taken away from you. The regime right now is ruling us, completely ruling us. As you see, the Troika even begin to approve them as the government of South Sudan. Even they call them the interim government. How long they're going to be interim government? Troika, if they're listening, they need to change their tactic on this, because that is really shameful. You are right now, when you see this article and you read it, you will just see one thing. Either the Troika are just dismissing blindly because they don't know how to solve it, or they actually behind it, that they wanted this country to fail. They wanted to make sure that as black people in this earth, make sure they would never get anywhere. We never done anything wrong. We didn't create ourselves to be black, but we are born black, and I'm proud being black. And the funny thing about this, that you guys, when you talk about that human right in United Nations Charter, the human right, of people, we see South Sudan and other countries like South Sudan are suffering, are getting so much pain because of the minerals they have in their life. And they don't care about the mineral. They just want to live like any human being. And today we have two buffoons who are tribalistic in mind, who are very ignorant. And we have so many ignorant in the leadership who are running with them, who are also tribalistic. And they make sure that they will control this country under tribe, not under something called, you are fit to get into that job. And now they are building a class of their community to be in the top, where Equatorians are losing everything. All the Equatorian tribes are losing their ground. The only thing they take from Equatoria is the minerals and our women. That's the only thing they take from us. They're not doing anything. They don't even take our people to be in the top jobs, but they will take the minerals from our lands. If it's east and west and central, they will take those minerals up there. And the women, they will kidnap them, make babies with them, and say, you know what? So to make themselves as if they're related to us. You cannot relate to me in a marriage. You can marry to anyone you want and you can divorce them, but you can never relate to them. So what's going on today, they're trying to even create a change in our demographic, even change in our cultural DNA. So they're doing all these things to destroy us because they dominate. And tomorrow they will, and I believe if we don't act right now as great Equatorians, in the future, there'll be one thing they're going to say, that we Equatorians now, We don't exist. There is a tribe Equatoria, like almost like the Native Americans in America or the Aboriginal in Australia. You know how now they're becoming a history, especially in America. It's like tribes I mean, had, became no more because of what happened to them. They were, I forgot the word, but they were taken away by force, violence, and killed. So that shows you that these people are doing the same thing to our people, if in Central or Western or Eastern. And they're also creating division among us so they can divide and rule. And that's exactly the tactic they learned from their masters. You know, create division, put bribery, find the people who are weak and put them in that place so they can gain, opportunity for a while the others would be massacred secretly or slowly. And you see the Blue House, one of them. You could see even the territories now. Some people are trying to fight for some nonsense. In this, all these things are played, are organized by this regime and by the SPLM. I mean, by the Jing Council and by these groups who believe. Because if you could see them, if they really say that the regime is terrible, why are they accepting the gift that comes from the regime by coming and settling in the territories of Equatoria, by spreading around and claiming that they are all born, the country belongs to the government? Those are the things they used to say every time to us. So it's really sad that we are in this position. And the worst thing about it is that we Equatorians, we want to still take time. Take time when everything is dying in front of you. How long are we going to sit watching? How long are we going to say we agree, or some people say we disagree? How long? Are we just going to sit and watch? We say, okay, let's fund, we give money. Let's do this. People say boots in the ground, we do this. Are you serious? Even the people who say boots in the ground, instead of talking boots in the ground, let them go there and shut their mouth. And we see them. If they say lead by example, not go and say, I want to just join, you know, what they say, like I wanted you guys to go and support these guys. Because at the end, this revolution, all of us are part of it. We Equatorians were fighting for our destiny. So you cannot just say, we need to talk boot on the ground. If somebody is talking, let them talk. As long as they talk sense, as long as they can move the people to go around and do their job. But if you are letting the people to suffer and you just want to talk about, you make yourself look good in other places and write down like boots in the ground or talk nonsense and say, yeah, we need to, and Equatoria is not united. All these things is not going to help. It doesn't matter if you don't like me. Just look at the image of what our people are going through. Look at the future. If you understand what future is, you will fear every minute you wake up in the morning and say, what is happening in Equatoria? Because every inch of our land has been taken as we speak. And those people are manipulating, the international community by using this bribery of land, giving the land to Westerners to go and invest. And we demand, and that's why we come up and we say, no, this land is not going to be like that, going to be treated like that. This land belongs to the natives. It's now belong to the government. Who is this government? It's not even legitimate from the start. There's no legitimacy to it. And you could see even now, those who have escaped from the regime, they worked with them before, and they jumped the ship to the next ship. Now they're in the ship of what they call oppositions. Those people were part of it. And this is what saddens me with our Equatorians, when they fall for also the tricks that has now been played and manipulated by some of those oppositions. That not every opposition is correct. I agree with them, and not every opposition are bad. Like I can say they're good and bad. So there is some people in there. If you look back, there is some people who are now trying to manipulate us, because the media, as like I said, is a double-edged sword. Today, you could see some people using the language, emotional language, to trick us because they know our pain. And us Equatorian, we are open book to those others. We are very much open book. Let's be honest. You could see how we talk about our land. Oh, these people came with their cattle, kill our people, and we start. But if anything happened today and everybody knew about it, you could see how many social media will go on and talk about it. Oh, our people are dying, people we need to do. But they don't have any strategic thing to do about it because they only talk about it out there. And those people have figured out us. They figured us out. So what they're doing now, they begin to manipulate. That's why you see them in their social media, in their media, whatever, their forums. They will come and talk, bragging about they know all that. They sing about their knowledge. Oh, when I was there, I used to do this, and I noticed about this crime. Okay, if you noticed, why didn't you quit? Why did you run when it took years after the death of the Nuer, after the second fight bita Riek Machar, the second fight of Riek Machar and Kir, that's when people begin to run like rats from a ship, that the sinking ship is going down. Why didn't you do it? Why didn't you stand your ground like others who still stayed in Khartoum, who never wanted to join the SPLM or even the idea of separation under this regime? Because they protested, but they were silenced by intimidation and bullying. Today, some of those people are trying to do the same to us, Equatorian, while calling for independence. And we will be independent. They want it or not, they can go and mark us. They say we need boots on the ground if we want to achieve that. But let's be clear here too. To achieve that, we need some people who say they are military forces in the ground, need to take a decision that they are fighting for Equatoria, not for South Sudan. If you cannot talk straightforward to your people and say, I'm fighting for you, to the public world to know that you are fighting like what the Israelis, when they were fighting the British, they didn't say, I'm fighting for Palestine, and we're fighting for the right of Palestine and Israel to get the British out. They said, we're fighting for the people of Israel, the children of Israel, to get back to their land. Those Palestinians are not even owners of this land. So they stood their ground straightforward. But today we see some Equatorians who are trying to play politics, and they think their politics is more smart, but that's not politics. That's called you are succumbing or conceding or giving appeasement for the sake of you look good to the others, but you're not helping your people. Your people are dying. Equatoria today have been destroyed since, I think, since the day that Gering took arm against the regime that he said, regime of Khartoum. That was the day Equatoria really is bleeding. Up to this moment today, we're still bleeding. The bleeding in Equatoria will not stop unless Equatoria all come to a realization, stand strong, and speak honest to themselves that we need our self-determination by standing together. And let us not also, and this is one thing I want, those who try to work individually, because we have seen, and I will talk about it, and I'm going to make a statement either tomorrow or after tomorrow about these people who want to work individually and then they want to talk about democracy. Democracy is not individualism. Democracy is not selective. Democracy is cooperative with everyone. And when there is a democracy, you have to bring your idea, like anybody who's trying to put a suggestion in the table, and let people debate it. Let people think about it. But don't come in with your own idea, with your own program, and think you know the best way is going to get there. Give your idea to the people and let the people decide. But don't go and dictate and think you are smart. And then you want to go and work with the regime. That is not going to work like that. For us, and we stick with our word. We don't acknowledge that regime. We don't acknowledge even any Equatorian who have been put as a governor in Equatoria, if in whole greater Equatoria, if it's in east or west or central, we don't acknowledge them as legitimate representative of greater Equatorians. We see them as the enemies and the people who brought the misfortune to us all, because today our people are under the bush, under the tree, or in the other neighboring countries because of them. So I want our greater Equatoria to understand, we don't work individually, we have to work cooperative. And this is what I ask from every Equatorian, especially in diaspora. It is time for us to stand really serious, because this determination, self-determination of the greater Equatoria is not a child play, and it's not a half-cooked job. It's a full work duty. It's going to be a lot of sacrifice. You're going to be hated. You're going to be despised. You're going to be called names. But one thing you have to focus on is that we are going forward, not backward. Because the message that we want here is that the greater Equatorian to be enlightened of what is their right. We want every greater Equatorian to know that our right is our freedom. It starts with knowledge, not with, those things that called, it doesn't start with somebody just coming up and say, I know better. I know best. Nobody know best. Only God know best. But we learn. And through our failure and success, we learn and we become better. And this is what we need as Equatorians. So let us not be deceived. Let nobody deceive us and say that they know better than other ones. And they're actually more democratic, and the others are dictatorial, or the others are inferior in their thoughts, or others are smarter. Nobody is a doctor. Nobody is a less, or whatever you want to call them, a farmer or a peasant. We are all one people. We are brothers and sisters of Greater Equatoria. We are doing this not for the sake of popularity or fame or interest, self-interest. It's for our people who are suffering and for us to go back home. This is the land that our ancestors have left it for us. It's their legacy. It's their DNA. We cannot live and die in foreign lands. We cannot just love to go migrate like like, those dog, how like dogs, because we really become like dogs. When a dog is born in their house, somebody will come and collect this dog and take him to another person's house. So the dog will not even know his mom or her mom, whatever, because this is what dogs are treated. So we're not dogs to be treated like that. We have a land. We have to protect our land because this is our real fight. It's not about positions. It's not about prestige. It's not about names, who's the best, who's the smartest, or who's the good looking, or who's the ugliest, or who's the oldest and the youngest. It is not about that. It's about us going forward. And it saddens me when I see some brothers of ours and sisters of ours, if they don't see the reality, they wanted to create division among us by creating manipulation, by creating some things that does not even help us. And yet they think they're doing right. I don't know how long we're going to have Judas in Equatoria, how long we're going to have Judases, and we're going to have like those so-called, you know, I forgot the names of them, even like those Benedict Arnold, all these kind of characters like Brutus, you know, we have so many betrayals in us. How long? We need to stop these things. We need to focus on Equatoria because our destiny in our hand, not in somebody else, not in the Western countries. As you see, the Troika today is acknowledging this regime, acknowledging us, say that, you know what, you guys need to work together so you can improve the economy. Well, there is no economy in South Sudan. The economy is completely destroyed. We have no economy. And the economy in the hand of only few people, two tribes. Even I wonder if that the second tribe are having, because right now I feel like the second tribe are not even gaining anything because now they are being held hostages because of Riek Machar. But the Jing, the SPLM, and all these people who are ruling the country right now is only in one side of one tribe. And this is the reality. It's not a hate. When we talk about this thing, because we are focusing on our people, we acknowledge there is something wrong. And those who are trying to appease others by saying, oh, let's all fight the regime by taking care out. How long are you going to sit down? You have been calling yourself oppositions for years. Some of you even went in and back, almost like it's a joke. Even Riek Machar is an example of that when he was during the time of John Garang. How many times he used to run to the Khartoum regime and come back again? And I was so shocked to see our Equatorian brothers will follow such a man who will not even have a principle. He always flip-flop. He will go in and coming back. You were never supposed to follow him. If he failed from his start of his revolution, he showed he has no credibility. He showed he has no dignity. His own people died so many times because of him. Today, even he's sitting in there. I wonder if he has a remorse. And I wonder some of our Equatorians who flip-flop have a remorse for the life they wasted because of their decision, because of their call and their recruitment to the people to go to IO and SPLM. Are they feeling the pain? Are they feeling that their hand is covered by the blood of their own brothers? Because they can say, I'm not part of it, but you recruited, you encouraged, because that hand is full of the blood of these people. The innocent young men and the innocent young girls and the old men and the old women who've been living peace until you came up with your genius thinking you're smart. Calling these people, let's go. Support this group. We're going to get our federalism. We're going to get our right. We're going to fight the Arabs by getting the Arab out. What did we get? We only get another oppressor. There was no Arab in Sudan. It was only leftover of Arabs. It's called the Arabs now. They call themselves Arab. They are called Shamalin, but they are not Arabs. They're just Northerners who've been, victims of colonialism by the Turks, the Ottoman Turk. So they're supposed to understand that we are fighting people who are ignorant. And the only way to get rid of ignorance is by putting a red line and say, that's enough. We have to put a line here. Some nations in Europe have divided. Yugoslavia have divided into 6 countries. So why Equatoria cannot be a nation? Those who are trying to oppose this, and some people who try to say like, oh, you guys are talking about something that is not going to happen because Uganda will not help. The hell with Uganda. And I'll say to them, the hell with Uganda is not the one who brought the liberation, the freedom of South Sudan, or even the independence of South Sudan. It was the people of South Sudan by the help of the international community. It only takes us to prove we are resistant, we are straight in our word, and we're not going to back up. And the world respects you like that, like the Israelis did. I'm just giving you the example of Israel when they stood in that ground and spoke. They fought hard for their land. They sat down there and made sure how to organize themselves. All of them came with their skills from different countries, from all the European countries, even from South America. Some of them from Africa, North Africa, some of them from Asian countries. They came together and worked. When they declared the nation of Israel, all of them were standing in Tel Aviv, waiting for that day. And today, Israel is a nation that you cannot even challenge them. They are now a country that is technologically advanced. They are powerful, and they didn't even depend on any mineral. When SPLA was deceiving the people on that time, calling, "Oh, we have oil, let's separate. We don't need these people. We're going to be second-class citizens," and they also made excuse of Sharia. That's not going to help. But today, Equatoria don't want to be in that the same mistake, because we don't even have anything to promise, but only our liberty and our future to advance. Because we don't have to worry about the minerals. We want to protect the tribes within Equatoria by giving everyone dignity, by standing for the right, not go and run around and say we are fighting, and you lose lives of young men and women in that ground where there is nothing happen, not even a land you control. We want to see a land is being controlled, so we can say, yes, you're fighting for Equatoria. And you don't have to worry about Uganda. You don't have to worry about Kenya. All these people are going to pay their price one day, because these people they cannot write our destiny. We the one who write our destiny. We the great Equatorians. I hope our people understand this. It's time for us to really take it serious and stand together. I know we're not the most popular today, but tomorrow, I promise you, history will acknowledge what we're doing. Because we're not here to stand because we want position. We're not here sitting because we want a job or we want names. We don't even care if you like me or not. If tomorrow you're going to see me, you don't even know me, because I'll be walking in front of you. You will not know who I am. But I'll say, yeah, how are you? Doing good? At least we're happy now. We have a new nation and we can live in peace. But we need to make sure that the country that we have must be built in the right way, not built by individual manipulative thinking, not built by some people who are greedy only to be known in the public. We need to build it with collective work. And we have to accept criticism for the sake of correction, not to be angry because somebody criticized me and said something here is wrong. I know people get sometimes upset, but sometimes we have to be very serious, my brothers and sisters, because this is the destiny of our people. And our destiny cannot be made in one day. Let me make sure it will not be made in one day. They have to make it in a process. And for me, I'm proud to say when I allied with some of our brothers who stood with us, I respected them, because we're not there as servants and masters. We're not there as who's going to be better than the other. We work together as a team. We give ideas, we exchange thinking, regardless how, because sometimes we don't agree, but it does not mean that we don't understand what we're trying to do. We have one clear vision, is Equatoria must be a nation that will have their self-autonomy. They will have their land back. People will have a real government that will be governed by the people for the people. Constitution will be built in a way that nobody has to dictate it by themselves or selectively, or even by coming up and say, let's all in the foreign land do this out there. No, it has to be in the ground when we all back, when we have a land. Right now, our land is not even there. There is no guarantee we have a country right now, because this regime is playing violence against our poor people there. And the international community, we're trying our best. It's not mean that we're stopping, but we, the people, need to all do what we need to do. If we have to support financially, we have to support by joining whatever it is that need to be done, so we can do it. Like, remember what John Kennedy said to his people. Say, ask not what your country can do for you, but ask what you can do for your country. Let that sink again to us, great Equatorian. Ask not what your country can do for you, but ask what you can do for your country. Right now, up today, I don't see a lot of our Equatorians are joining to speak and stand for Equatoria. It doesn't matter. You don't have to be in the public, but I want to see you participating. I want to see you do something. Don't ignore, because time is not in our sight. Time is the greatest enemy to human being. Time is our greatest enemy. Anytime we sit down and do nothing, time pass by and we lose a lot, especially the land, the people, and the capital is our land, in our land. And the people who own now, taking all these land, giving contracts to other international communities, building hotel in the grave of our ancestors. That is a disrespect and insult to every Equatorian who, if you're abroad or inside. Let's have real conscience. Let's have a real national conscience. Let's not be like al-mutasawwirina siyasiyin there. Today they want to brag about it. Oh, احنا كنا هناك امبارح عملنا كده وكده. What the heck did you do? Those are what they call them, a needy politician. They're only needy. They wanted to get attention of the world, so attention of the people, and manipulating people so the people can support them, so they can get back. And when they get back, they'll forget you. We've seen Bokosoro, what he did to us. A lot of Equatorians were excited. Now he's now there hugging Kir, letting East Equatoria to be falling in fire because he don't care. He never cared for the blood of his people. Like we have so many governors for Equatoria today, if in Central or Eastern or Western, all of them, they done the same. They don't care about our blood. So how long we gonna wait for Messiah? We are all Messiah to our nation, not one person. We are all the Messiah for our people. We are all the Moses for our people. We all of us are Joseph for our people. It cannot be one person. We need to work together, and let's not fall for any person because of image, because some people know, they act like they know better, or because what they do, all these propaganda, like people when they start trying to find a new girl, they would have to try to flirt with her, يعمل مغازلات. No. Today, time of مغازلة بتاع السياسة انتهى. مغازلة السياسة انتهى. حاجات الأوهام ده كله اللي كان بيلعبوا في راسنا is done. Equatorial need to rise up for real. And to rise up, we need to be very serious, take action, speak for our people, And I want also one thing to warn our people: we don't have to fall for a tribal organization al-barra for Western countries, because this thing breaks my heart when I see it. Because every time I see people wanting to say, this is the worst mentality. Let this be in Upper Nile, but let it not be in Equatoria. Great Equatoria is not great. Let's celebrate our Equatorianism instead of celebrate our tribe. Let's be proud of who we are as sons of Equatoria, because what we are, what made us who we are today, what made us even talk about Equatoria outside of the world. We didn't see ourselves as one individual. We see ourselves as everyone. There's a lot to say, but I'll try, to stop in a minute to here, because there's a lot of things to do and to speak about. But I hope those who have ears, let them hear. And those who have conscience, and I add to that, those who have conscience and the spirit of Equatoria, let them act. Because remember, you don't have to ask what your country can do for you, but ask what you can do for your country. The same thing that the late president of the United States, century ago, he said that to his people, to remind that the young people and the old, they all have a job to do. Your job when you're born, the day you die, that's when your job is done. When you're born, you begin to learn what job you're going to get. Once you get to the age that you're ready, then that's the moment you start doing your job. So I hope our people will rise up in the right way. Let us not fall. Let's not look at ourselves as competitors. Especially, I'm saying this message to those leaders of Equatoria, those who are in the opposition side, not in the regime, because the regime, we know who their cards, we know who they are. But I'm talking about those in the opposition side, in the outside, in diaspora. Don't look at your fellow brother or sister as a competitor. Look at yourselves as equals for the sake of interest of Equatoria. That's all you need to. Don't feel like you are right and the other one is wrong, or he is wrong, you are right, you are wrong and he's right, but you want to manipulate anyway. No. Let's work together as a team, because we want our hope and future to be built in the right way. So if Equatorians leaders don't know how to lead, then let them step aside and let the people rise up. They talk about grassroots. Who are the grassroots? You and I are grassroots. Every one of us are grassroots. Grassroots is not going to found in the grass. It's going to be found in those people who are, active in their community. People who really are sincere to speak out for their people interest, not for their self-interest, not for self-promotion, not for them to be known in the public, but for the people to appreciate that there's some people who are willing to advance them to success, to prosperity, to a better life, to a happiness. How long are we going to live like beggars? How long are we going to live like followers? I wish people understand that Equatoria don't need that. Those who are still looking for power, let them not dream for it, because they will not get it. The only thing you're going to get is just going to be a failure and misery, and you're going to feel shame later. What will you look at your child when you say, oh, this is what I did, and then your child's like, man, you messed up so bad, like what Wanika's doing now. But of course, they will not say that. As long as they bring money and food to their table, they will be happy with their parents. But if there is a child who has a conscience, he will rebuke his dad or his mom, say, That's wrong because I don't think it's right. Even my conscience will judge me on it. So I hope everybody understand that the fight is longer, but we're not going to give up because Great Equatoria is strong with us together as one people, not as individuals. And I hope those who have conscience, let them rise up for the sake of Equatoria. And for those brothers and sisters in the other side, the two regions, we don't hate you, but we're looking for a better way for us. We want to build a utopian country. And it's not a dream. Because today, if I compare Africa with Europe, I would say Europe is more utopian. Africa is dystopian because Africa is everywhere conflict. You have leaders who are corrupt, leaders who are very much opportunistic, leaders who are very like extreme failures, ignorant, buffoons sitting in table and chairs, you know, getting like, the most, you know, I don't know, I don't want to go far, but you could see how they look. They look like a joke, clowns, and yet they want to represent us as our nation. And the people always want to follow. This is our mistake. Let's stop following and let's stand for our people. So following is the only way that we will lose. But when we stand together as one and agree and understand each other, that's when we rise up. Because our knowledge is where our freedom starts, not in the beginning, not in the way how people say, let's go there and fight in the ground. And you don't even know what you're fighting for. You have to fight knowing that you're fighting for something that will bring freedom and security to you. Because if there's no security, you cannot even go far. If you don't gain something from that, because it's called equivalent exchange. Equivalent exchange is something that when you give something, you get something equal to the same level, but different from each other. So you cannot get this. So I know what we want is sound to others is impossible, but I know it's going to happen. And I just want to say thank you for those who are watching us. I know today, a lot of people who are not here, our brothers and sisters who are not here today, they will join in maybe tomorrow. So I really appreciate you guys, and I appreciate everyone, and I hope we share this in other forums. I know there is one thing I want to also give message to those guys who despise us because we speak what we speak our mind. They don't want us to, like, sometimes when we share, they don't even post it, they just deleted it. I just want to tell them, if you really believe that you are guys of freedom, you believe in the freedom of speech, you're supposed to give every person who speak like me a chance to speak. Don't delete it. Don't stop sharing it, because you know what, because if you do that, that means you are intimidated, you're insecure in your own thinking, you're insecure in your own belief, because you guys, either you're manipulators, and then don't sell out those pages calling Equatoria or Greater Equatoria. If you do that, please stop, because we're not about حاجات اوهام ده. يعني انتوا كان عندنا نقول بعربي، and I'll say it in Arabic. انتوا لو الشخصيات اللي بيتكلموا، انتوا بتعرفوا حريه هنا بيقول شنو، حريه الراي لاي مواطن. I'm Equatorian first, South Sudanese second, because I've been put in South Sudan, but I'm an Equatorian first. So I believe in what I believe in. انت مفترض تحترم رايي، تديني الفرصه المتاح اللي لما انا اتكلم كان في اي برنامج نعمله، ما تكفي لا تقول لا ما تخلي العنوان ده يطلع برا، لانه حاجه ده بشكل تهديد لمصلحتنا الشخصيه. عشان كده انت بتتبراج about all that. لكن في النهايه قال شنو؟ رغم انت بتحاول تخبي حقيقه، انت خبيت الحقيقه بعدين في النهايه بيظهر، والحقيقه هيظهر لانه هو ضوء ما هيجيف. واليوم we're coming like a fire، احنا جايين كنار، نار تاع حقيقه حق استوائيه، وانا ما حنجيف لحد النهايه، لحد ما نشوف Equatoria free. We see the land of Equatoria become populated by the people of Equatorians, and the tribe of Equatoria can live together like it used to be, harmoniously. Then we will stop talking and let the others continue. اليوم قاعدين نشوف a lot of these manipulators. في ناس لما تيجي تناقض قائد بتاعهم يقول لك ما تشير حاجاته، عشان تعرف الجهل والديكتاتورية والسخافة اللي عندهم، وهم بيتكلموا عن حقوق الانسان والحريه. معناته انتوا قاعدين توروني نبذه من المستقبل الجاي لو انتوا قاعدين يا تمسكوا البلد ده، وانتوا قاعدين تقولوا معارضه سياسيه. يا معارض بيخلي الثاني لما نشوف بقى الثاني قاعد يناقض، انت معارض صحيح لحق المواطنين، ادي الفرصه للمواطن. احنا بنختلف في الراي، لكن في النهايه كان فعلا في امن وسلام. الشعب الاستوائي ممكن ذاته يقول ما دايرين انفصال، لكن لانه انتم ما عندكم حقيقه في نفسكم، عشان كده انتم خايفين من حقائق اننا قاعدين نتكلم. عشان كده انا بنشوفكم دائما توصل لمرحله خوف، بتقولوا اسمع ميك شور كعصابات ما تشير حاجات بتاعه، لانه شنو نازل بيتكلموا كلامات كده ضد قائدنا ولا ضد سيدنا ولا ضد نبينا ولا ضد منو هناك. المهم بس تميك شور ما تخطوا. imagine that. حتى لما نجي في مرات في فورمات بتاعهم they get intimidated, they start talking nonsense زي اطفال. تاني لما بيعمل لك بلوك it was funny. لكن انا ما خايفين منهم، لانه ده ما محتاجين عشان هم يحبونا، ولا ما داير هم يحبوني عشان لانه we talk or عشان I talk about what I feel like, you know. I'm not gonna sit down. انا ما بركع على زول عشان يجي نخليه feel good. كان ما عجبك في 60 داهيه، لكن استوائيه لازم ياخد حقه. واحنا كشعب استوائيه this is our land. وانا بشكر كل استوائي البطل والبطلات بتاعنا اللي قاعدين يقف من اجل الحق بتاع استوائيه، اللي عارفين الحقيقه وما بيتغشوا، ما بيغشون باوهام بتاع عواطف. بيجي واحد تاني بيتكلم هناك بيقعد ممكن كم ساعه بيتكلموا، كل يوم بيظهروا يا جنوبيين يا احنا وكده. ده كله سخافه وجبن، لان هم ذاته كان جزء من الحركه الشعبيه وهم فشلوا البلد. وهم كانوا زي ما معروف عملوا شنو هناك الا ربنا بيعرف، والحقائق يوما ما حيطلع. لانه كان عندهم سهيك حبا للحريه وحق بتاع مواطنين، مفترض يخلوا اول شيء لما اي مواطن يتكلم حتى لو كان كلام ده بيوجع قدر كيف، حتى لو بيناقض كيف، انت وريه المنطق. كان انت سيب تعرف منطق؟ قال شنو؟ شارع الحجه بالحجه، مش تمشي طوالي تعملوا عصابات سريه، تعملوا خطوات تلعبوا دور. يلا في نفس الوقت تيجي تعمل نفس مرات تاني بيجي بينقل نفس الكلام تقدر تقوله، امشي بيزيدوا حاجات جديده، يعني حاجات كده. الله يساعد. المهم انا ما بكتر هنا، لكن بقول الله يساعد هؤلاء الناس، لانه فعلا قال من ثمارهم تعرفونهم. هم اشكال يعني ما بتجزأ من الشكل اللي قاعد في الحركه الشعبيه. عشان كده انا ما عندي worry about this. That's why we come to the conclusion as Great Equatoria لازم ياخذ حقه ونرجع لثلاثه اقاليم. ده واحد من النداء بتاع استوائيه. احنا ما نخلي النداء يكون ونكون نرجع ل 10 ولايات، ولا عاوزين 10 ولايات، ثلاثه اقاليم. وكل اقليم بيكون فوق جفرنر. يلا هنا بيكون في تقرير المصير لازم يحصل من اجل حق استوائيه. This is one of the things that we call for. حق تقرير مصير استوائيه لازم يجي under the Equatorian decision. ما في زول تاني يجي يفرض لنا يقول لا ما حتعملوها. حاجات اللي عملوا نيميري ما هيعملوا تاني في إيكواتوريا. نيميري غشه كان جنوبيين وخش إيكواتوريا بالاخص. لما جا خدتونا 5 سنه فشلنا. لكن من نرجع لثلاثه اقاليم بعد خروج او ازاحه بتاع كير وكله جهله بتاعه المعاو التراتير بتاعه المعاو ده، that's when we Great Equatoria have to come immediately by preparing something called referendum in couple of months. ما اكثر من سنه، ما اكثر من شهور، 6 شهور نقول، عشان الناس يقدروا يفكروا كيف يبنوا الحاجات التانيين محتاجين له. 6 شهور ريفرندم. يلا بعديه بيكون في سنوات، يعني قلنا نعمل السنه سنتين عشان نقدر نجهز لنقل الدوله ويكون في حاجه صحيح زي اللي عملوها زي بتاع بريطانيا. في لوك ات بريكزيت how it did when the British البريطانيين قرروا تقرير مصيرهم. it didn't happen immediately. People have to separate. they had to go through the process عشان يقدروا يبنوا economy، عمله جديد، يعملوا حاجات ده كله and then we become a nation and it's gonna happen. وانا قاعد نقول لكم this as Equatorian and as a member of Equatorial Civilization Council in diaspora, we're also an ally of EPA, Equatorial People Alliance. We are all allied in that because we agree that Equatoria must be a nation. And we want every Equatorian, اللي هو كان any organization, you come together. وانا عاوزين نقول لأي استوائي أرجوكم ما تشجعوا الروح القبلي في مناسبات القبلية. خليه يكون مناسبتنا كله وحدتنا كله في حاجة اسمه Equatoria Conference. ده is better than even having a conference تا قبائل، لانه القبليه ده حاجه بعدين بيكون خطر كبير. خلينا نشوف الخطوره في حاجه البعيده، انه نشوف حاجه دي بوضوح، ما نحن نشجع حاجه لاننا عاطفيين في حاجه ده. بعدين في ثاني thing I want to also mention، احنا لازم ما يكون لنا 3 state. I don't believe that 3 states is gonna help because already I see the danger. اليوم بقى في خطوره. في ناس ثانيين يمشوا بافكار ده قال احنا نقدر نعمل كده. No, I don't believe it. It's not gonna work and I have a reason why. I'm not gonna talk it publicly. So أرجوكم اسمعوا مصلحة شعب إيكواتوريا because المستقبل بتاعنا في يدينا، وإحنا يوم ماسكين المستقبل بتاع أطفال الجايين ورانا. وأنا بشكر everyone who is here and welcome Auntie Sarah, how are you doing? And Sister Wilma, CJ, William John, Brother James, you know, all the others who are here. أنا بشكركم. Santino and also Cookie, Martha, and all the others I know. Mercy, thank you, and all those who are here. أنا بشكركم كتير وأنا بقول لكم thank you. It's been an hour and I appreciate it so much and God bless. أرجوكم continue the revolution. إن شاء الله بكرة بنيجي بيجي بكرة التيم بيكون معنا فإن شاء الله things will be great. Thank you guys and God bless.
Geo E Records.
Oh na 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 na. Oh na 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 yeah. Banana kala. Na 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 na. Anina wani. Anina sawa. Oh yeah. Anina Equatoria. Nasawa. Anina Equatoria. Beled wahid. Anina Equatoria. Anehna. Anina Equatoria. Oh yeah. Kanita miniambio. Kanita mintori. Weleta min Juba. Yeah. Anina Equatoria. Keresia samagesi manena. Yeah. We strong, we stand together. Yeah. Kanihna gulu wahi. Equatoria birapa. Yalbilwa pijama. Asan belet na birapa. So give us pen, don't give us guns. Oh yeah. Give us ipanagule. Anina Equatoria. Nasawa. Anina Equatoria. Beled wahid. Anina Equatoria. Anehna. Anina Equatoria. Oh yeah. Kanita zande. Kanita mai. Au kukuye. Anina Equatoria. Kelele na hibone fusina. Kebelia kedema feriganina. Salam wa sakhava. Behaja derino. Hasan belet na biraba. Arif ma bisaido. So give us pen, don't give us guns. Give us ipanagule. Anina Equatoria. Nasawa. Anina Equatoria. Beled wahid. Anina Equatoria. Anehna. Anina Equatoria.
Nihna kulu sawa jama. Show my fanan ngala. I love my people and I'm the voice.
Acholi ya buka ya baka. Equatoria balanda mare. Kakuwa kiniko. Lango lugoya. Acholi posa mundo. Nyambara morobe made. Mundare.
Nyambara.
Otumo pare makotulo. Lubara bunga ya lobe.
Tokosa Mondo Anina kulu nasi sawa. Mavi hata bigesi manena. Siasa mabigesi manena. Anina wahi.
Physical music.
Thank you guys. Have a blessed day. God bless you. We'll talk to you tomorrow inshallah. وانا بشكر كل الناس اللي جو هنا واللي جايين يشاهدوا later. ربنا معكم. Thank you.